Ji, Assalamu alaikum. Hi guys and fellows. I'm Nasir and I'm going to present today a book of Tariq Ali named as Shadows of the Pomegranate Tree. This book is actually a first book of the series of 5 books named as 5 Islam Quintets. They are also called as 5 Islam Quartets. So when Tariq Ali realized that a Muslim perspective is needed to be declared openly and clearly to the Western countries and the Europe. So he wrote Shadows of the Pomegranate Tree. After writing, he sent it to Edward Said also, and Edward Said read the book very carefully and he suggested and advised Tariq Ali to write more about the Muslim culture. So Tariq Ali, encouraged by the advice and suggestion of Edward Said, wrote 4 more books. And all these 5 Islam quintets actually show the real Muslim history. So that is the first book, Shadows of the Pomegranate Tree, which we are going to discuss today. Before I'll go towards my topic, it would be mandatory to have an idea of the personality of Tariq Ali. Tariq Ali was born before the partition in Pakistan and he had a long history, long political history. His family was leading the political side in Pakistan, so he had no problems having any kind of new things, absorbing any kind of new things. So, under the observation and the guidance of an educated family, educated political family, he was born a left wing activist actually. He was also a political iconoclast. He wrote books on communism, socialism, and he is a neutral journalist all over the world. Meanwhile, as far as his writings and literature are concerned, we have found him an atheist. Of course, he has produced and filmized some of the films that he has written his novels also, and currently he has been working as a columnist in The Guardian. So he has been working on the TV channels also in England and in UK. So that was it. So he can clearly be called as a true representative of Muslim history. Being a true representative of Muslim history, sometimes his honesty looks very brutal because he really shows the dark side of the Muslims also. So he can be called as the torchbearer of the Muslim perspective in Anglophone literature. Guys, these are some of the books which I think that you must know that what kind of personality and grandeur Tariq Ali has in literary circles. Around the world, he has been famous as a historian. As a historical writer, he has written many of the books. I have just portrayed some of the beautiful books that he has written very clearly and neutrally. So there is Extreme Center, a warning by Tariq Ali. He has also written on Obama syndrome, the Bush, and in these days he is also writing a book on Donald Trump. So he has been closely observing all the policies of the West and especially America, the superpower, the so-called claimed superpower. So he has never been afraid of writing a real thing, writing reality. So Tariq Ali has also written on the powerful personalities of the world like Leon Trotsky, Fidel Castro, Stalin, because he believed in the communism and socialism. So he has written many of the books. So these kind of books actually shows that what kind of grandeur Tariq Ali possesses in his life and what kind of knowledge he had. The circle where he lived and brought up was really a left-wing circle. He brought as a secular, he brought himself as an atheist. He became very much rational, and we can find all his attitudes and beliefs in the book Shadows of the Pomegranate Tree 2. So let's have my topic for today's presentation is True Face of Islam in Anglophone Literature, that I have found this book. First of all, guys, I want to tell you that Shadows of the Pomegranate Tree is actually a very interesting historical book. It is a fiction, and no doubt it also has the flavor of the literary techniques and the literary styles. but it does have a true reality of the Muslim perspective that is very much needed to be studied by every Pakistani Muslim and every Muslim around the world, and generally all the Western countries, all the West actually. So Tariq Ali himself says that when he went to visit Spain and he met the university chancellor there, and he also met some of the students there in a seminar, and he asked about the syllabus of the regarding what kind of Muslim history you people have been studying. So he was very much astonished to hear that Muslim history of spanning from 600 years to 700 years is only described in two paragraphs. It was really an astonishing point for Tariq Ali that became a twisting crutch to inculcate a spirit of Islamization. So he, at that time, it was like a stimulus that a beautiful multicultural history of 600 years of Muslim rule in Spain has been only given detail in two paragraphs. So this was the critical point, critical juncture. That was the crucial point where Tariq Ali decided to write a real book that could show the real face of the Muslim rules to all the West and especially to the Spain. So what happened actually there? There is a review of the Independent Shadows of the Pomegranate Tree. Ali captures the humanity and splendor of Muslim Spain in an enthralling story, unraveled with thrift and verve. So by this review clearly shows that the Christendom, the Christian, who had been continuously justifying themselves that they were the right rulers, and Muslims just had an inquisition, had a wrong inquisition actually. So to encounter their claims, Tariq Ali was the most suitable person to write this kind of book. Because the situation of the Muslims there was really creating a panic and mess among the Muslims. So, for the doomed Moors, the fall of Granada and the approaching forces of Christendom bring not peace but the sword. So, Tariq Ali has clearly pointed out in his book that what Christendom brutally played havoc and destruction with the lives of the Muslims and the Jews. So, the subject matter is the intersection of Islamic and Western history in this book. Tariq Ali has been a master to show this kind of subject, the clash of fundamentalism and clash of civilization. He has shown very clearly, rather I would say, he has shown the Muslim perspective very brutally to the Western world. There are some historical facts that we must understand before we go ahead, that in 1492, when King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, they have decided to get back their dominions and the domains in Spain, Granada. The story is set in Granada. In previous times it was called as Granada. So they in 1492 actually they have. So let's see, the fall of in 1492 the fall of Granada happened, and actually at that time Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand made an agreement with the Muslims. According to that agreement, actually all the Muslims were supposed to have a full freedom to practice their religion. Muslims were not alone living in Spain. There was Jews too. So what I want to tell here is actually the real thing. Three cultures coexisted for 600 to 700 years. Three cultures coexisted. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very crucial point that I am going to relate today. So 600 to 700 years, three cultures, the Jews, the Muslims and the Christians, they lived side by side. Of course they debated, they discussed, and they shown logically rational approach living living there. But they never fought. But they never fought. These three cultures lived side by side, they coexisted. It was kind of a synthesis of a multicultural society. What became a beautiful Al Andalusian philosophy, I would call it. Al Andalusian philosophy was a result of Al Andalusian culture. The beautiful picture of those Al Andalusian culture I have also shown in the picture. The famous Alhambra palace is being shown in the slide actually. So, coming back to the point, I want you to tell that these three cultures coexisted for almost 700 years, and Muslims were the rulers, and Jews and Christians were free to practice their religions, to practice all their beliefs. Their places of worship were being pronounced and claimed as religious places. No Muslim could harm any Jews or the Christians. So it was the beauty of the Muslim rule that had never been created or painted or written on the pages of the history of the Spain in the books or anywhere. Rather, the followers of Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand and Ximenes de Cisneros, they had been continuously writing many books. They had been justifying their Inquisition. So, they had been planning that Inquisition for long. So, they called it so called Reconquista. According to them, that Reconquista is the new beginning of the Christendom in Spain, and that was totally based on the brutal fact of the demolishing of the two cultures, that is of Jews and the Muslims. Muslims were called as Moriscos and the Jews were called as the Conversos because Ximenes de Cisneros has forcefully ordered all the religious persons except Christians that all of them should be converted to Christendom, especially Moors, the Muslims, and Jews. They were forcefully tried to be converted into Christendom. They were given only two options. One was to convert to the new religion, that is Christendom, and second, if they don't accept to convert into Christendom, they will be killed. Even living was not an option. So, how brutally Queen Isabella, King Ferdinand, and their confessor Ximenes de Cisneros criticized and killed all the Muslim society, all the culture. They backed out of their famous Granada Agreement. According to them, freedom was for all the religions. So what happened to life of those doomed inhabitants besieged on all sides by intolerant Christendom? So this was the difference Tariq Ali had inculcated in this book. On one side, there is a cruel, brutal Christendom, and on the other side, there is a tolerant Muslim rulers, very tolerant, very kind. Under their rule, for 700 years, Jews, Muslims, and Christians, they lived peacefully. The story starts Shadows of the Tree, Shadows of the Pomegranate Tree by Tariq Ali. It starts with a chess game. Before I will tell you something about the chess game, I would like to tell you, because I have been using one word again and again, that is brutal. Actually, when I read the book for the first time, I felt that Tariq Ali has faithfully and honestly shown the real culture of the Muslim society. On one side, he shows the brutal acts of the Christendom, and on the other side, he also shows the faults in the Muslim society, the flowbacks, the drawbacks and the flaws among the Muslims rulers. There were wars, there were conspiracies, there was tumult, there was rebellion, but all these were inside of a society. Nothing to deal with Christendom anymore. It was just inside. And in this way, Tariq Ali has presented the perspective of the Muslim society in both the ways. He has been very much neutral. Like when the story starts with the chess game, in the chess, moors were assigned with white colors. Hatred for the colonialists and the enemies. As I have told you that Tariq Ali has brutally shown the negative side of the Muslim society in one way in this story also. So very carefully, if you would have a very close insight into the psychology of the Banu Hudayl clan who was depicted in the story, so you would come to an idea that Banu Hudayl was an elite class of the Muslims and they were rich in Muslim culture. So Tariq Ali has clearly shown their flaws also while ruling and while living. So this chess game is actually was a gift by their royal carpenter. The royal carpenter who has designed this chess for the youngest of the family Banu Hudayl, Yazid, Joshua. Joshua was the name of the carpenter, and he had a hatred against the Christendom because his family was converted and killed against the will of the Muslims. So freedom of thought was not there, freedom of expression was not there. So the Muslims, like Joshua carpenter, symbolically carved a chess in which he had shown his hatred against the Christendom. Christians were carved as monsters. Black Queen's eyes shone evil. King had tiny pair of horns on his head. Bishops were sculpted like satans. So he has shown his hatred about all that creatures of Inquisition. The Inquisition, which actually became the result of the terminus of their history. So the reality of the Castilian rulers, memory of that cold night, imagine the wall of fire, the fall of a culture, the damnation of a civilization. Every Muslim, including Banu Hudayl, was forced to think that Islam is either universal or nothing. So this was their crucial juncture where they had to be finished for the full of their lives for all the coming generations, or they have to put up against a rebellion against the Christendom once again. There was only one hope, and that was of the elder brother of Yazid, son of Umar bin Abdullah, Zuhair. Zuhair actually never accepted to be converted. Against these forced conversions, all the Muslims who had been living there for 700 years, they were not ready to leave their territory. The Iberian Peninsula, which have a beautiful synthesis of the multicultural of Jews, Muslims and Christians in the previous times, now that culture was demolished. Siemens de Cisneros has set fire to all the books created by the Muslim writers. Those books were of philosophy, literature, music, art. All kind of books were set to fire. There was a great wall of fire when the story starts. The start of the story makes us into a gloomy and sad situation. And along with this, being a Muslim, the imagination of the wall of fire take us into a great spirit to regain all those memories and all those domains which have been captivated or which have been ruled by the Muslims once. Like a feeling of a Muslim at that time was that they thought that they had built Hudayls and their culture was fallen away in the very eyes of them. The wall of fire is actually symbolically a downfall of the Muslim culture, demise of a civilization. Zaman de Sismero very brutally prohibited every Muslim not to take a bath. Bathing is a religious Muslim's ritual. Muslims take a bath 3 times a day. In Granada, in Spain, in Sicily, in Portugal, all these cities have been decorated and constructed with public baths. Public baths in Muslim rule was a center of discussion and debate for all of the society. And that culture was demolished by the king and the queen and their confessor. So bathing was prohibited. Even bathing became a sin. Why I call this is a brutal honesty of the writer again and again. There is a reason that on one side, by showing the reality of the Muslim tolerance and mutual harmony of the Muslims that have been created by the Muslim rulers, and on the other side, the brutality of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, there is one more thing. That is, Tariq Ali has rightly pointed out the reasons of the downfalls of the Muslims, where Amra says, Allah has punished us most severely. He has been watching our antiques on this peninsula for a long time. He knows what we have done in His name, how believer killed believer, how we destroyed each other's kingdoms. There are only plots, conspiracies, war of crowns that happened within Al-Andalus. One last thing that I want to relate is the character of Al-Zindiq. Al-Zindiq sometimes looks to me that he is the mouthpiece of the writer. Al-Zindiq looks like a saint. He lives outside of the Banu Hudayl in the mountains, like a peer, like a saint, like a Sufi. Zuhair was very much impressed by Al-Zindiq. It was Al-Zindiq who has inculcated the spirit of rebellion and the spirit of identity that has been provided to Zuhair. Christendom has brutally demolished the identity of the Muslims, but people like Al-Zindiq and following by Zuhair and his clan is the true representative of the Muslim society. So Al-Zindiq actually is a very rational or logical scholar, and sometimes he looks atheist because his words show that he sometimes had been gone to the field of atheism. So that spiritual soul is like an inspiration to all of us in the book. So at the end, gentlemen, fellows, I want to say that this book is really an interesting one to read out and to spread out, because it really shows the real face of the Muslims to the Christendom. The Christendom who has forcefully occupied the Muslim culture and forcefully tried to demolish the Muslim culture. So that's it from my side. Thank you. Have a good day.